Yeah, I don't know. I think that has a lot to do with what we do today and tomorrow in practice, and just again find out what they can do and what they can handle. And we need to be smart, make sure we put them in positions where they can be successful, and we don't want to ask them to do too much. Same time though, we can't go out and be too vanilla as well. Thought he did a good job of managing the game. That was really his first time being in the heat, being in the thick of the battle. Thought he managed it really well. Thought he managed himself really well. I mean, that Iowa's a cool atmosphere to play in. Can be a lot of pressure. But I thought he did a good job. Thought he made some shots. Receivers dropped a couple balls or had chances to make plays that they didn't. But overall, pretty pleased with what he did.
Is there anything that you can do in practice to simulate the speed of the game at all to make it so that he can start to get used to it?
Yeah, we'll try to go some ones-on-ones maybe as much as we can, go against our number one defense and even the number two defense. But other than that, it's pretty hard to simulate, especially a Michigan State defensive speed. That's going to be hard to simulate.
And if you were describing Chris, and I asked Kevin this too, I mean, is he a poised kid, a calm kid, an excitable kid where you're going to have to calm him down initially when he goes out there because, he didn't have time to think.
That's
when
right.
He went out there at Iowa. Now he's going to have all week to think about it.
Yeah, no, I think he's a very poised young man. There doesn't seem to be a lot that rattles him. Now, when you get put in the middle of a game at Iowa and there's 70,000 people yelling at you, that's different than on the practice field. So there's only so much you can simulate in practice that can happen in a game. But I think his demeanor's pretty good. I think he'll be just fine.
What did he show during the preseason? I mean, obviously, Indiana would not have him be, promoted all the way to number 2 quarterback if he didn't have some obvious skills. What changed between the recruiting process when it looked like Indiana was recruiting him as an athlete or for other positions, and then to determine that, well, I think this kid is a quarterback? Really,
probably the first time that we saw him throw. He has the strongest arm on this team, really stronger than Nate Sudfeld's. As far as, the throw that he made to Jayshon Harris Saturday that got picked off was a laser, and it got on Jayshon pretty fast, and he wasn't ready for it. But he has an extremely strong arm and can make any throw on the field. He just needs some development, needs some grooming, some reps, some coaching, but we think he has a chance to be very special.
It sounds like maybe touch is something that he has to work on.
A little bit, yeah, right. I think, from where Chris is coming from high school, the level of football that he's at now is 10 times more difficult than anything he faced in high school. So, for him, there's a lot to learn. He's been learning for a long time, and I think Saturday was a good, maybe first test, if you will, for him. And I'm excited to see where he can go.
How much of a gap is there between Chris and Diamond or Boudreaux?
Probably not a lot of a gap, to be honest with you, because I think they're all young enough that they're all going to be a little bit wet behind the ears. That they all need some experience out there. Alexander can do some things better than Chris can, and then vice versa. So I don't think there's a huge gap between them.
How does he compare to Trey?
I think that he's bigger and thicker and stronger. I think he's going to be a little bit more durable. I think he can still make the same runs that Trey can. I think his arm strength is a little bit better. Now what I have to do, again, is hone everything else in on his technique and his accuracy and things of that nature. But I think he's got similar skills.
Is this basically a week where you really earn your money? Because now you have to work on this quarterback that maybe you weren't planning on.
Yeah, Coach Wilson said it this morning. It's really going to be a lot of fun because now I get to go back and coach and teach kids just the base fundamentals of the game. And not that it wasn't fun to coach Nate Sudfeld, but Nate was on a different level. You're teaching him different things now. It's like you get to go back to square one, which for us as coaches is exciting.
How is Nate handling this? I mean, injury is part of the game. Everybody knows that, but then it happens to you and then life gets more complicated.
I've only been around him just the last 2 days, obviously, since it happened just a couple of days ago. But he seems to be doing just fine. I think there's some frustration that, you're going to miss the rest of the year. But he's a competitor. I know he'll battle back. I know he'll be just fine when we come around to next fall. But, disappointed that he can't play. But he's going to be a great teammate. He's going to help these young quarterbacks and help our team win however he can.
A little bit about the offensive line and the blocking that they've done, especially Tevin's long runs. He's outrun people, but it's not like he's really had to battle through a bunch of guys. He's had some pretty clear lanes.
Very pleased with how those guys are playing up front. And really, to me, and I know Coach would say the same thing, it comes down to an 11-man operation. So not only is it the guy with the ball in his hands, but the receivers making blocks downfield, the tight ends at the point of attack. You know, a couple of those runs Saturday, our tight end made just phenomenal blocks at the point of attack. Receivers made some chops, and Tevin was able to squirt for a long one. But I think our O-line's playing at a high level. We needed that to continue, and this week will be another great challenge.
I know you can't get into game specifics, but last week Purdue had a lot of success in running wide. They did want to challenge Michigan State, you know, directly attacking. How much of a help is that, seeing what Purdue did as a way to beat this defense?
Well, you know, Purdue had a very good game plan, and they did a lot of different things to get the ball outside on the perimeter, then to hit it up inside. And I think there has to be a good mix between those two things. Michigan State has been one of the best defenses in this entire country for the last couple of years. So, you know, you're not just going to line up and run downhill on them every single play. So there has to be some good mix, some different ways of attacking them. And again, I thought Purdue did a good job of that Saturday.